one.
Oh.
Oh, hey! Hi, everyone. So tonight I'm going to be talking about the infamous wake-up call. And it's not the call you get when you're running late, the phone call you get to your phone that says wake up, or the alarm clock that wakes you up. No. A wake-up call is one of those moments that you get when you're like, oh my goodness. Sometimes it's those bad things, those terrible things that happen, and we're like, okay, you know what, we got to start doing this, or we got to stop doing this, or this is not right. So when we see a wake-up call, and if something happens and you can classify it as a wake-up call, then it should make you realize that, you know what, this is something that I absolutely must stop doing. It's time to take action. Whenever a wake-up call happens, it's more like it's an action call. It's a call to action for me. Also, if something's a wake-up call, then it makes you realize that you need to change certain attitudes, you need to change certain behaviors, you need to change certain things that you're doing. So a wake-up call, it is a call to change. It is a call to action. A wake-up call allows for someone to do some self-evaluation. If you're doing certain things, you may now stop, think, take some time to look at your actions, take some time to think about what you're truly doing. Is it making my life better? Am I progressing? Am I moving? Am I just stagnant? I like to put it like this for me. Almost dying saved my life. What do I mean by that? It's not until something terrible happened to me, which happened to be a car accident that almost ended my life, that I can say I woke up. That was at a very, very tough point in my life because a lot of other things were going on. Because, it's like when something bad, it's like a domino effect where everything just starts happening. But what I realized is that God has a way of turning everything and kind of bringing everything full circle. I'm awake now. You've had the wake-up call. You've made up your mind to be intentional to change. So what's next? The most important thing from this point is to take action. It's to be intentional about learning from whatever the situation is. Some people have had wake-up calls where you could have been dead, but you're alive. I've experienced that. So you know what? It's time now for me to take action, to change, to reevaluate my circumstances, to reevaluate my situation, to reevaluate my life. And then, just to make that action move that I need to make. We also need to be ready to seize every moment. When you have a wake-up call, it's like, oh my goodness, things could be so much different. This situation could have been different. It could have ended differently. But you're still here. You still have an opportunity to operate differently. So it's an opportunity, and it allows you a second opportunity, sometimes third or fourth opportunity, to seize every moment, just to appreciate everything that goes on around us. Seize, breathe, relax, smell the roses. Just live life, live fully, live a happy life, live productively. We also need to realize that these are opportunities that we can learn from and we can grow from. Once we have every moment, we can realize that those moments are teaching moments for us. It's always an opportunity to say you don't waste things that happen. And, sometimes it's hard because these circumstances, wake-up calls are difficult. So these things are hard. So, I'm standing here and I'm doing it and I'm saying it, but it's really hard. But one thing we must realize is that whatever happens, whatever wake-up call we get, learn something from that wake-up call. It's an opportunity to get something out of it so we don't waste what happened. And then I realized also that it's only up from there. You can only go up from that moment on, from that point on. So what do we do? What are we doing? Where do we go from here? Where is up? These moments are a vital part of the process, the up moments. That's when we're intentional about being better. That's when we're intentional about doing better. When that wake up call happens, be open to answering. We may get angry, we may get mad, we may react in the situation in the heat of the moment, but when all that is said and done, and once we've calmed down, let's get ready to answer that wake up call. Whatever that call to action is, let's be prepared to answer. So, yes, it's like when the phone rings, we're ready to answer that call. When this wake up call happens, let's be ready to take the action. Let's be ready to answer. Be ready to take the necessary steps that we need to take to be better. And sometimes taking these steps that we take can help us and prevent us from even repeating that cycle sometimes. Depends on what the situation is. In conclusion, as I reflect on this speech, and I know people listening to me right now have had wake-up calls. How many of you have had wake-up calls?
I had one.
I have one. So we've all had them. And whatever those wake-up calls are, if anyone want to just go ahead and tell me something that has happened that truly gave you a wake-up call, you can go ahead.
Well, my experience was being in the wrong place at the wrong time and being wrongfully arrested. I know, scary, right? But within that time frame of having that wake-up call, I realized that I had to change my lifestyle. I had to really be serious and intentional about what God has really called me to do and the purpose that He has designed for me. In the midst of that wake-up call, if I would have went the other way, it might have ended up a little bit different. So what I learned from there is to surround myself with people and others who genuinely have my best interests at heart. And from there, I understand exactly what I need to do. So that was my wake-up call experience.
As I close, that was really awesome. I remember about 2 weeks ago, I saw an accident, and when I found out and when I did my research, the person didn't make it. As I reflected on that accident, it was so similar to the accident that I had just a few years ago. And then if I had been hit a little bit closer, if I had just been hit just an inch more, I probably wouldn't be here today. And a few years ago, at that point in my life, I was a Christian, but I wasn't serious. I wasn't fully committed. I remember reading a book by Mark Batterson called All In. I wasn't all in for God. So at that point, that for me was my wake-up call. That's one of the most vital wake-up call I've had in my life. After that point and realizing how things could have turned out differently, I decided to change. I decided to completely commit myself 100% and totally committed to God. And then people might say, some of them look and they say, oh my goodness, you're so lucky. I don't consider myself being lucky. I consider myself being so blessed and given another opportunity to really truly walk in my destiny and my purpose. So as I wrap this up, just seize every moment. If you get that wake-up call, don't waste it. If you get that second, third, or fourth opportunity, don't waste it. Because as I put it, almost dying saved my life. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night.